Welcome. We're glad you're here to celebrate the life of Penny Brandt. We ask that you would open your hearts and just experience God's love as we have experienced it so many times through Penny and Sam and the family. We are grateful that you are here and to celebrate this amazing life together. So if you would, please join me in a responsive reading. If you open your bulletin, it's found just right on the inside. And we will read responsively the 23rd Psalm. And if you would read the part that's in the bold. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want.
He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters.
He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me.
Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over.
Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.
Now, if you would, we're going to sing a hymn together. Jesus Calls Us, number 398, and we're going to sing all the verses. But it's a pretty short hymn, so it shouldn't be too bad. So let's stand and sing. Let's pray. Gracious God, we come here today to celebrate the life of Penny Brandt, the one who has demonstrated your love in so many great and deep ways. In so many of our lives here, we are grateful, O God, that she touched our lives, that she was transformed by your love, so that she might transform the world around her in love as well. Oh God, we ask that you would strengthen our hearts and comfort us today as we mourn the loss of Penny, but also as we celebrate her dancing with you in heaven. We ask you, O God, that you would be with us and strengthen us. Cover us with your Spirit, O God, so that we might grow in your love together. Strengthen us as we go from here, as we seek to not only experience your love, but to spread your love to everyone around us that we see and meet in the world, just as Penny did. We're grateful, O God, that we can share in relationship with each other, share in your love, and share in the prayer that Jesus taught us to pray together. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. So while Penny was in the hospital, okay, hold on, we want to mic you up. While Penny was in the hospital this last week in hospice care, an amazing young woman came and played a song for her. And Sam and the family was so touched that they said, would you come back and please sing another song for us? So we are going to let you do that. Thank you.
I come to the garden while the dew is still on the roses, and the voice I hear falling on my
Well, the text today that I wanted to share with you guys just reminds me so much of Penny and Penny's life. And it's one that is, Sam and Jennifer and I sat around a room together and we're just kind of sharing ideas and went, wow, how do we want to remember her? What do we want to say? And it almost seemed like all of us together at the same time said, to love one another. And isn't that the truth? That's more than anything. I think Penny taught us how to love. Deeply and truly love. And so that's why we celebrate today. And let me read these words to you from John 13, and I'm going to read 34 and 35. I give you a new commandment. Love each other, just as I have loved you. So you must also love each other. This is how everyone will know that you are my disciples, when you love each other. Isn't that just so Penny? Love each other. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, sometimes when I hear the word commandment, it sometimes feels a little bit like, okay, let's do this thing, and don't be messing around with that, getting off the trail. You better be staying on the straight and narrow. Whereas Jesus is saying, look, here's my commandment. Love. Love. Love each other. Love God. Just love. In another time, Jesus is asked the question, what's the most important commandment? And Jesus said, love God, but love everybody else too, just as you love yourself, because you are lovable. Jesus wanted his disciples, he wanted us to know that the most important thing is to love. Everything else, as if you think of it as a commandment, as a guide for our lives, it could be said, hangs from those two things, is directed by those two things. If it doesn't fall under the category of loving God or loving somebody else, love. And that's what Penny did so well and taught us so well. She represents love. Sam even calls her Penny Love. And why not? When she is the epitome of love and demonstrated it to us in so many ways. I think she probably was the most loving person I have ever met. And maybe that's the same for many of you as well. And so she encouraged us in that, just by being Penny, to love. And so I think three things that she did to encourage me. She always encouraged me. She was the most encouraging person I've ever met. I would finish up a Sunday, and I was pretty sure I had said some things. Had they made any sense? Maybe. But every Sunday, no matter what, when I got to the back after the benediction, Penny was the first one there, wrapping her arms around me, giving me a big old smooch, and saying, "You did so good." Maybe even when I hadn't. But isn't that what love is? To love us, to wrap us in loving arms, to smooch all over us. Maybe even those times when we're not so lovable. Penny, I think, taught us that. You see, I think Penny's encouragement was always there. She was always encouraging. She and Sam were the ones that showed up. When I first came here as a new pastor, with who knows what all going on, some rogue kayaker from down the road, raft guide. Everybody knows what those guys are like. And for some reason, they welcome me in with open arms and a big hug and a big kiss and say, let's do this thing. Let's share some love with some kids. Let's share some love with the other people in the church. And they kind of took me by the hand and taught me a little bit about how to love and how to lead. And so I've always appreciated their encouragement of both Sam and Penny. Another thing that I think made such a difference to me was Penny's presence. Okay, hands up. Whoever saw Penny without a smile? No hands, right? Penny just was always there. She was always present, and she was always smiling. And I always thought, you know what? A smile like that, it's just love bubbling up out of her, filling everybody else around her. I know it did me. And that big bright smile was on her face and part of her presence all the way to the very end, wasn't it? She was always smiling. I've heard it said before that grief is love squaring up to its mortal enemy. And love is up for the challenge. So even in our grief and in our loss, love is up for the challenge. And Penny would want us to know that love is up for the challenge no matter what. And she would want us to share that love, even when things are hard for us. One of the things that we think about as we go to the next place from this place. And Jesus told his disciples about this. He says, you know what? I've got to go away. I've got to go somewhere else. But don't worry. In my Father's house, and as one translation puts it, there are many mansions. And you will join me there. And a friend of mine, as I graduated from seminary, handed me this little card. It says, in my Father's house are many mansions. I hope mine is next to yours. In my Father's house are many mansions. Penny Brandt, I hope mine is next to yours. Because wherever that is, there's love. Thank you, Penny. Thank you, Sam. And thank you, family. All of her family. And so now I would like to invite up the family to share a few words and memories of Penny. So Sam and Jennifer and Steve, y'all would please come up. And whoever else wants to come up too, I guess.
I will do my best. When Peggy and I took our wedding vows on December 12th, 1964, we promised to be together until death do us part. Little did I suspect that would happen only 52 years later in 2018. I take some consolation from the fact that Peggy survived an earlier bout with ovarian cancer in 1994 after 30 years of our marriage. God then blessed me with the gift of another 23 healthy years with Peggy. During those precious extra years, she managed to love many more people who otherwise might not have known how wonderful love is. Some of them she might not have liked so much. But as the Bible tells us, we must love each other, we must do. She indeed loved them as herself. And I'm sure you all know that from experience. Fast forward to about a month before she lost her life to cancer. Her hair was coming out due to her chemo drugs, and it was very itchy and annoying. The hospital provided us with a small shaver gadget, which I used to shave off all the rest of her hair. It provided immediate relief to her, which made her so happy. It's hard to figure how a person losing all that beautiful hair could make them so happy, but it did. Shortly after shaving her head, I took the picture I'm about to show you. I hope you all can see it. She was smiling, the big, huge smile that has always been her trademark. Afterwards, she told me, "That is a really good picture of me. I like it a lot." She was a tough lady, believe me. In spite of just having lost her pretty blonde hair, and knowing in her heart that her illness was terminal, she was still able to appreciate the little pleasure of having a picture of herself that she really liked. I pray that when my final hours come, that God will provide me with at least a small part of the grace and strength and character and love that has become Penny's legacy. Thank you.
I guess it's our turn. Hopefully we can do as good as her dad. If you know our mom, you knew she loved to talk to anyone and everyone. There were many times I would have to look around for a chair or something to sit on because I knew it would take a while. There were times when I honestly didn't feel as patient as I tried to look. Recently, I have come to, well, not recently, a little before, come to better appreciate her love for conversation. I realize you and Penny are like sisters. We talk for hours on the phone about everything and anything. I don't know how long it takes to get to heaven, but I still talk to her every day. expect her, and I know she's standing there patting her foot with her hands on her hips, waiting for Penny. I'm trying not to mourn her because she's the kind of angel that would stay here and pick over me and make sure I was fine. And I want her to fly and be free. And I love you, sister. Thank you. Did I say that wise man was Sam Brandt?
Penny would always say, "I love you" to pieces. And also, one time when I went into the fellowship hall with the hat on, she asked me to take it off.
In a loving way.
It didn't matter what you were going through. And what I was going through, Sam and Penny were always there. I'd walk through the door and there would be these arms around me before I even got there, through the door. And she's like, "Oh, I've missed you so much," and had a way of just, both she and Sam, making me feel like I was the most important person they had seen that day. And always have checked up on me, my busy life, and I get so tired, and then out of the blue I get a text from Sam, "Just checking on you." And you all have blessed my life just abundantly. I love you both.
My thank you is to Penny also for sharing. Y'all know I get emotional about this sort of thing again. But she shared Sam with me, and there were lots of projects we've done over the years that have always been important to me. And I appreciate that very much. Love you all.
I think our daughter summed Penny up perfectly. And for those of you who don't know us, our daughter lives about an hour and a half from here, and she comes over to the church every, so often. So she knew who Sam and Penny were, but we called her up to let her know that we were just talking. We said, we had a really, bad news that Penny Brandt passed away, and she says, "Penny, now, okay, and tell me which one she is now." So we described her to her, and we told her where she always sits back here in the, which pew she sits in. She says, "Oh yes, I know who she is. She's that woman, that very nice woman who always has a smile on her face, and she always sees a God sighting wherever she is." And I think that says it all. God, she saw God everywhere in her life.
One Sunday morning, Penny opened the front door to let me in to church. And I was wearing my pretty little sweater with the sequin dragonflies all over it. And Penny said, "I love dragonflies." She said, "I collect little dragonflies. I have jewelry and everything." And when she said it, one flew in over our heads, and it came in here, and it flew all over the place. And Ross Clapsaddle was 2.5 or 3 years old, and he jumped up and chased it He ran and he jumped, and it was the most fun. I'll never forget that day and Penny and her dragonflies. It was a surprise. I just feel so honored to have been loved by Penny. Her love is just such a bright spot and will continue to be. I have this thing when somebody tells me I love you, I say I love you more. Well, Penny went out, her and Sam, and got a sign for me that says I love you more. So I have that hanging in my living room just as a reminder that nobody could outlove Penny. I tried, but Penny did it the best. Sam and Penny both. And such wonderful children they have that are loving and following in her footsteps. Thank you for sharing her with us.
The son over here has some catching up to do.
My mother was one of those people that Sam and Penny transferred their ministry to when they got here. At a time when we really needed somebody to keep up with her. So I really thought at that time that this is all Sam and Penny do. This is all they can do. The things they were doing, mother, and the time they were spending with her, to see that all these other people were involved. If you knew Penny, you knew she could handle it, no problem. And we were so thankful to have her, and it meant so much to Mother as well. So thank you.
I've been very fortunate in my years of knowing people who showed me love. I think Penny and Sam ranked near the top. But Penny, I'll have to put you number 2. My mother was first.
Unfortunately, I only knew Penny for a short time, maybe a year, but it seemed like I'd known her all my life. And at the end time of her life, she knew she was gravely ill. What did she do? She showed love and helped others who were desperately in need. And I just admire her so much for that. And Sam, you as well. Thank you.
Over the last 10 years, Sam and Penny both did a lot for my ex-wife and myself, and then she picked up and helping Lisa, feeding her quite often in the last few years. And, I can't even say, it's been thousands of things that they've done for me. But especially I want to speak of Sam and his grace to always agree in public and to be graceful to everyone, and especially to Penny, that sometimes maybe she exceeded a boundary or two, but Sam never said anything in public. And I can't speak for Sam's grace in all of this, and to him, he's been just an incredible mentor for me, and I just want to say many thousands of good things for Sam, because if not for him, I wouldn't be standing here today. Thank you.
I was lucky enough to know Sam and Penny since they've been here in the church, and just real happy that we have Sam with us today and the family. Penny and I shared a couple of things. One was our love for Italian food, but we also shared the big C, and she and I had several conversations about that and about our treatments and all. Mine was 24 years ago, and her first bout was about that time, I believe, as well. But apparently we have a third thing in common after hearing Sam talk about shaving heads, and there's nothing like shaving your hair off to get you back to earth, real quick like. But the thing that I love the most about Penny is her courage. And when I heard that she had made the decision not to fight anymore, that's real courage. Quality of life versus quantity of life, and I admire her for that so much, Sam, and you.
My children and I used to visit Sam and Penny when they were in Pennsylvania. And my children didn't have, well, they had their grandfather as a male father figure. But they didn't have very many. Our life was a little different than the typical family. And they really looked up to Sam. And they still talk about what a gentle, kind person he is, a real man. And they used to love to go visit them. And one of the fondest memories I have, when my dad and I, the girls went, my kids, and Penny made the most simplest things fun. They were going to make brownies. And Penny, we didn't make just one pan of brownies. We made 4 different kinds, and my kids didn't know there was 4 different kinds of brownies in the world. And there was like the almond joy brownie that you put the almonds and the coconut in, and then there was the non-almond coconut brownies, and then there was the chocolate chip brownies, and then there was the peanut butter chip brownies. And they had the most fun tearing up her kitchen. And she just was love. And as a child, I got to experience that same love. And then me and her children got to play together. And the whole thing was love and family and just making the most simplest things beautiful. And in today's world, that doesn't happen a lot. We get busy, that sense of family, that sense of joy. It's going to be missed, but they'll want to read up. It's one of the memories I carry very deep in my heart. It's her entire family. And I want to thank them. And I know these are going to be hard days, but thank them for sharing their love with my family too. That was just a little bit different. But they didn't judge, they loved. And they taught me how to love, and they taught my children how to love. And they taught my children what just family was about. Thank you.
I think our microphone is not doing well.
Okay, we'll see what this one's doing. I just wanted to say that I have had the honor to know Sam and Penny since they got here, really, and that I wanted to thank them for the love that Penny had for certain, but it is a really wonderful thing when you see matrimony between a man and a woman like Sam and Penny. It's the kind of love that doesn't die because your body's not here. So it's just, I thank you for that, because you don't see that very often. With Penny, individually, you are the better for having known her, and you can't say that about everybody you see either. So it's just quite the legacy that she's left, and to have the visitation be with church family, to include us in that as a potluck is just brilliant, and I thank you for that too.
Sam and Penny saved my life, literally.
Anybody else would like to share a story?
Oh, I would just like to say that Penny was one of those people that no matter, she always had a few pews in front of me, but no matter how she was feeling, she always asked how I was doing, and she always cared. And, you know, there's a lot of people that might ask, but they really just don't care. They're just saying it to say it. And she really cared, and that meant a lot to me.
The last thing I said to Penny, I hope you hear, last thing I said to Penny, I think, that when she was lying there in the hospital bed smiling, I said, Penny, I've learned so much from you. And one thing that she always talked about her children, but she always mentioned chosen children. She talked about her chosen children, and really, I think we were all her chosen children. And I appreciate Penny. I really thought we were a lot.
It's been an honor and a privilege to know both Sam and Penny over the years. I first met them when we were going to Sharon United Methodist Church up in Pennsylvania. We used to do a lot of things, like chicken pot pie dinners for the church together and serve and do all the dishes together, etc. But one of the more important things was Penny became a very good friend of my mother-in-law. In 2010, I also lost my job, and we moved south to South Carolina. And at the time, my father-in-law had already passed. My mother-in-law was about 81. And she shared in the Stephen ministry along with Penny. And when they came south together, it helped her tremendously to move south because she was leaving all her friends, etc., back north. Again, Penny was always out there with her love, expressing it to everyone. And I really appreciate what she did for us. On behalf of Sharon Methodist Church, I'm sure that many more of them would like to be here today.
You're all right. I'm loud enough. I judge people. I have a bad habit of judging people by the way they treat animals and how they treat animals. And if you've ever been to their house, you can see that it's a haven for animals. But the thing that really struck me is when they went searching for a dog that they, obviously a shelter dog. That's, but it's not just a shelter dog, but they search out an older shelter dog that maybe someone else wouldn't want. And to me, that speaks volumes. So.
Would anybody else like to share a story?
Robbie Campbell had texted me recently and said, "Pennies from heaven." And that was the headline or whatever for the text.
Pennies from heaven.
First Sunday morning, I had a chance to say hello to the two of them. I walked down the aisle shaking hands with people, as we usually do. And as I approached Penny, I extended my hand. And all of a sudden, she took a half step back, but with no change of expression on her face. You know the expression. And I thought at first, that I upend her by extending my hand, and that was not it. It was giving her a chance to open her arms, and I got a bear hug. And I learned, and from there on in, and he always looked at me, it's going to be a bear hug. So the next Sunday or so, when the two of them were sitting together, Sam will remember this one, I said to Penny, why do they call you Penny? You're at least worth a quarter.
Any other stories? All right. We're going to get this to you, Sandy, so that way we can get it on the tape.
I met Penny and Sam at a spaghetti dinner here. I don't go to this church, but I came to the dinner that evening, and I believe it was that same night they had a raffle, and I happened to win, and I got a call, and Penny had picked out the piece that I won. It's a beautiful candle holder, and it reflects. It's round, it's like a bowl almost, but it has a wonderful reflection in it. And ever since then, every time I see them, it's just like I've known them forever. And we came to find out that he mentioned Sharon. I was born in Sharon, and they were in Sharpsville with back-to-back towns, right where we grew up and where I grew up before I moved. But it just was always like I'd known them forever.
Any more stories? Well, I believe those were some good stories. And one more.
Thank you. I'll try to calm myself down a little bit. The last time Penny was in the hospital, the time before, I should say, the last time, I was told by a CNA named Diane and a nurse named Lizzie that she and they had long talks about cancer. One was a survivor, the other had just been diagnosed. And Penny was sharing with them everything she could, every encouragement she could give them. Just sharing, just being the Stephen minister and loving. And that was Penny. In a nutshell. I also want to thank you all for coming. I want to thank you all for the food, the stories, just everything, all the efforts you made. On her behalf, on my behalf, thank you very much.
Dang it, I almost made it. So as we close out this service of celebration, let's stand and sing our final hymn today together, "Amazing Grace," to the amazing King Brandt.